Last week, my son Caleb, he's my older son, he's 8 years old. Ryan and I were talking. We were sitting in the living room, and Ryan came home for lunch from work, and we were talking and about everything that was going on with George Floyd, and I was just kind of pouring my heart out, telling him how I felt, because I confide in my husband, and I could hear Caleb coming up in the hallway, so I kind of shut it down, because we've tried to shield him from a lot, because we want to keep him as innocent as we can while we can. And he came up and he heard me say the name, and so of course he was like, "Are you guys talking about the guy from the news?" And I was like, "Yes, we are." And he said, "Man, they've been talking about that all week." And Ryan was like, "Yeah, so do you know what that means?" And what came next out of his mouth literally shook me to my core. I thought that he was going to say something like, people need to be treated fairly, or "I'm tired of seeing this on the news," a regular little kid answer. But he didn't say that. He looked Ryan directly in his face, and he said that I might be next. And that literally made me cry. I sobbed uncontrollably, because at that moment I realized that no matter how good of a parent I am, no matter how privileged of a life we can afford for him, no matter how much we shield him, that even when all is said and done, at 8 years old, he feels on the inside the unjust. He feels it on the inside. And it wasn't that he said it, because we read it all day on Facebook. We may say it as adults in general. We know the reality that our black men are one day eventually going to fit the description. We know that. But at 8 years old, my baby knows that. And that's not something that we told him. That's not something that we fed into him. That's not something he's heard or seen on TV, because they won't let us speak that part on camera. Somehow in his soul, he knows that no matter what, he could be next. And it hurt me to my core, because it's the truth. And the truth hurts like hell. And I was not expecting that type of truth from my 8-year-old. My sweet, innocent 8-year-old who thinks stupid is a bad word. And yet there's someone somewhere that will call him a nigger to his face. That hurt me. And so I literally feel like I can't be silent about it anymore. Even though the words don't come out right, or I can't get my words together, I need to be vocal. I need to share my experiences with him now, because somehow, because of this, that innocence is gone. And that's really what white America is doing to our children. As minorities, they are literally stripping their innocence away. Because we have to endure this type of bull, our children don't even get to have a childhood, like childhood innocence, if you will, because they get to, be kids and play outside. Y'all get what I'm saying? But that piece is literally stripped away. That is why it is imperative that I speak out and that I start having these conversations with my child. I thought I had some time to explain to him about the injustices of the black man. And yet I have to start now at 8 years old? That is wild. It's wild. Because his counterparts, the white kids, they're not having those same talks. And that's really what white privilege is. Because when people sit there and are trying to say that they're ignorant to white privilege or white privilege is not a thing, that's literally what it is. You don't have to have those conversations with your children because they're not going to be put in those situations because of their privilege.